Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're going to look at an industry you see every single day but probably never think twice about, the charter bus business. And we're going to see how one deceptively simple idea is turning it completely on its head.
I mean, at first glance, it's exactly what you'd expect, right? It's got wheels, it's got seats, it gets people from point A to point B. But trust me, the real innovation here isn't what you see on the outside. It's all happening underneath the hood, and it's solving a problem that has been a nightmare for operators for decades.
And that's the big question, isn't it? What if a simple change in design could fix the biggest headaches in this business? We're talking about crippling purchase costs, enormous fuel bills, and profit margins so thin they can basically vanish overnight.
So yeah, this is the story of how one innovator just took a huge step back, rethought the entire machine, and created a vehicle that might just be the future of how we all travel in groups.
Okay, so to really get why this new bus is such a big deal, you first have to understand the brutal economics of the business it was built for. Let me tell you, the charter bus industry is a much tougher world than most people realize. So let's get into it. What does it actually cost to keep one of these big coaches on the road? When you really start to break down the finances, the numbers are kind of staggering.
For starters, just to buy a new coach, you're looking at over $500,000 gone. Fuel for just 1,000-mile trip, that can easily top $1,000. Then you've got regulations that require a minimum of $5 million in liability insurance, and one pretty common repair, just the AC compressor, can set an operator back $7,000. These are massive, relentless costs that just never stop.
And after all that investment, all that risk, what's the reward? Well, industry insiders report that a typical profit margin is just 10%, a razor-thin 10%. It is an incredibly tough way to make a living.
So with margins that thin, how could anyone possibly succeed? Well, the answer starts with a pretty unlikely collaboration between two people who just refused to accept that that's the way things had to be.
First, you've got David Beccare, an engineer who, get this, at just 21 years old, bought a failing company called Executive Coach Builders. He completely turned the limo industry around with one simple insight, designed for the end user. You know, the person actually renting it for prom night, not just for the operator buying it. That mindset made him the world's largest limo manufacturer, and then he turned his attention to the bus market.
The other half of this partnership is Api Dagan, a charter operator. And just like Beccare, he came from the limo world. But as he explains, his customers started demanding bigger and bigger vehicles. So that pushed him into the high-stakes motor coach business, where he immediately ran smack into all those financial problems we just talked about.
And this is where it all comes together. It's the perfect storm. A real-world operator's problem meeting a manufacturer's innovative, think-outside-the-box mindset.
The result was the SUPERCOACH XL. The core idea is so simple, it's brilliant. Build the body of a 57-passenger coach with all the luggage space and everything, but build it onto the chassis of a standard commercial truck, a Freightliner to be exact.
And here's the genius of that decision. A traditional coach is a totally custom machine. If it breaks down, you need a specialized mechanic. But the SUPERCOACH, it's built on a Freightliner chassis. That means it can be serviced at thousands of truck stops all over the country. It also nearly doubles the fuel economy and cuts the initial purchase price almost in half. Every single one of those major costs we talked about, this design attacks it.
But here's where Beccare's limo background really shines. Lowering the cost wasn't enough. He knew the passenger experience had to be premium. So instead of standard bus seats, he put in reclining captain's chairs. He added personal power outlets in every row and huge panoramic windows. He didn't just build a cheaper bus, he built a better one. Okay, so the design is clever on paper, but does it actually work out in the real world? Well, let's take a look at the payoff. This number is just incredible. The operator, Api Dagan, reported immediate fuel savings of 50 to 60% compared to his traditional motor coaches. For a business where fuel is a massive expense, that is a total game changer. And the savings went way beyond just fuel. As Dagan explained, because they standardized the whole fleet on one simple truck platform, maintenance got so easy he could eliminate the entire fleet manager position. That's a massive saving in both labor and complexity. The results were so convincing that Dagan went all in. He sold his entire fleet of traditional motor coaches and now operates 45 SUPERCOACH XLs, with plans to buy even more. That's not a test, folks. That is a total conversion. And this success wasn't a one-off. At another company, operator Kim Halstead found it wasn't just about saving money, it was about making it. She calls it a sexy vehicle that customers specifically request, allowing it to pay for itself almost immediately.
So, what does this all mean for the bigger picture? Is the SUPERCOACH just a one-off success story, or is this the beginning of a real industry-wide shift?
Well, this innovation couldn't be more timely. The charter bus market is poised for explosive growth, projected to expand by over 9% every year for the next decade. All that new demand creates a massive opportunity for an efficient, profitable vehicle like the SUPERCOACH. And the benefits aren't just financial. It turns out motor coaches are already the most fuel-efficient mode of transport, preventing an estimated $2.7 billion in social and environmental costs in 2023 alone. An innovation like the SUPERCOACH, which can literally double a bus's fuel efficiency, only amplifies that positive impact.
This whole revolution happened because an innovator focused on the end user's experience and an operator's real-world problems. They didn't just iterate, they started completely over. And it makes you wonder, what other industries, weighed down by high costs and old assumptions, are just waiting for someone to ask, what if we built this a completely different way?